See, in the bike suspension, there is one term called preload. Now, if you increase the preload, the sag reduces. So what is preload? It is the tension in the spring in the unloaded condition. So, with the spring or suspension in the maximum preload setting, the suspension will be in the maximum length in the unloaded condition. Now what is sag? Sag is the amount by which the suspension gets compressed when it is loaded. Now sag is related to preload. The lesser the preload, the more the sag. Now the sag should be optimal. It should not be too high or too low. For that, the preload should be optimal. It should not be too high or too low. How much should be the sag? So roughly the sag is 25 to 35% of the suspension travel. Now suppose with the present setting, so with the present preload, we need to check the sag. So if the sag is more than the desired level, then it means that the preload is too low. So we need to increase the preload. We need to increase the preload until the sag comes to the desired level. If the sag is less, that means the preload is too high for the load on the bike. So we need to reduce the preload to increase the sag to the optimal level. What happens if the preload is too less? It is too less, the sag is excessive. So when the sag, suppose the sag is 50% of the suspension travel, then only 50% of the suspension travel is left remaining whenever any jerk happens or when the bike encounters an uneven surface. So in that case, there is a chance that the suspension would bottom out and hit its limit when it encounters a big irregularity at a high speed. In that case, as the suspension bottoms out, a person would experience a sudden jerk to the back, and now this can cause back pain. So this is why an excessively low preload, although it will make the suspension a little softer, yet it can prove to be hazardous in case of large bumps or large forceful forces that compress the suspension. So this is why, this is how the preload is important, and this is why we must keep the preload at the optimal level so as to keep the sag to the desired level.